Warning, the following video contains controversial perspectives. That's right. Within this video, there are perspectives shot from this camera angle. Observe the space above my head, the massive black bars beside me. There's a silver lining in this, in that every single interviewer recorded from this perspective. Except that little bit I did at the beginning. Huh. Jump! So back to a more serious issue. This video does in fact discuss a very controversial issue, that one of the death penalty. And the death penalty being a topic that is highly discussed and often controversial. Take it with a grain of salt and reflect on these ideas later. And that being said, I'll return you to your regularly scheduled mandatory education. This is the part where Ken's supposed to...
Hi you guys, my name is Kenichi, and today I'll be introducing our group's topic, the death penalty. Now what is the death penalty? Well, the death penalty is the punishment of execution, administered to someone legally convicted of a capital crime. Now in the olden days, this punishable by death act was used in the very beginnings of time. It was only in our recent society, with the evocation of human rights, religion to a degree, etc., that we begin to abolish this method of punishment. Throughout the United States, more than half of the country are against death row, while the remaining, Texas, Florida, etc., are pro-death penalty. Now I could go on and on about the history of this act, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. Today I discuss my group and I's views on, is the death penalty a right and justifiable means of punishment? Personally, my group and I strongly believe in the death penalty to an extent. If a man or woman has committed repeated acts of murder, rape, etc., without showing remorse or any signs of change, then the death penalty should be ensured. In China, from experience, many gangs would be made to magically disappear, which put a quick end to gang activity. Not saying there are still many gangs out there, but it provided a very quick and effective solution. However, I don't disagree with the notion of second chance. I definitely believe that if one shows remorse and repents for their actions, then they should be given a chance to change, no matter the crime. In the media's perspective, they are split in two. Some suggest in favor of the death penalty, as they would feel it provide justice and retribution for families, as it serves as a deterrence to prevent others from committing extreme crimes or relapse of any offense. The others are against the death penalty, as they believe in the value of life, that some criminals, even the worst, should not be deprived of it. Also, killing someone can be very expensive. All in all, they should be shown mercy.
I'm Ginevra Spada, I'm a senior in high school, and I'm an exchange student from Italy.
My name is David Romo, I'm a junior in high school, and I'm an exchange student from Spain.
Hi, Susie. Hi, Maria. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Carmen. How are you?
Good.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
This is regarding the death penalty.
Do you agree with the death penalty?
Are you for or against the death penalty?
Against.
I'm against.
Yes.
In one word, how do you feel about the death penalty?
One word, negative.
Do you agree with it or are you against it?
Do you agree with the death penalty?
I agree with it.
No, I do not agree with the death penalty.
And why is that?
You do something wrong, you kill. We should be killed.
I'm neither for it nor against it.
I guess I'm in between. Well, I think it should apply to where the actions that people commit are tremendous actions the death penalty should apply to them.
I don't feel like an eye for an eye is the right way of being.
If the person is rightfully convicted of doing the crime, such as murder, then they should be held accountable and they should die for the crime that they committed, specifically murder. We should not waste money and letting them live on death row and have a better life than what some citizens have out here without having committed a murder. They get 3 square meals a day. They're allowed medical services, dental services, and they should not be afforded that. They should be put to death. And, but not, like I was saying, they should not be afforded the 3 square meals a day, the dental service, medical services, psychological services. They should be put to death. We should not leave inmates on death row for 20 years where their victim wasn't even afforded a life.
I don't believe that death is a correct punishment for somebody, no matter what they do.
From my perspective, I worked as an investigator for 30 years with the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and I investigated claims of employment discrimination. And from that perspective, I look at everything in my life, and I see that the laws in employment, like laws in our jurisprudence system, are not applied equally. They're applied unequally. And I feel that minorities all too often get the short end of the stick.
I feel under certain circumstances that it would be okay. And however, morally, I don't feel that it's right to actually kill somebody.
Now, there might be another perspective, a religious perspective too. People believe that people shouldn't be killed on religious grounds.
I can't really say that it's religious necessarily, but I can say that I know that it's wrong.
To kill another individual.
To kill another individual no matter what they do.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about if the law was applied equally, you know, if somebody's going to get 20 years for committing a heinous crime, that should be across the boards. Everybody that commits that crime should get 20 years. Of course, I know they take into account their past criminal record, but some people that commit crimes that are more heinous than brown or black crime, they get 5, 6, 10 years probation. That's it. So I think the way we apply the law, it's skewed in favor of white Americans.
I want to say it's based on circumstances. I'm sure that in different states, the laws are different and they apply differently. Someone could commit a crime that isn't as heinous as other people, and depending on where they live, they get off scot-free, and then somebody else's crime maybe is not as heinous and they have to be put to death.
And for that one reason, and maybe there's others, but for that one reason, since it's not applied equally, I just don't think it's right that we have a death penalty. I think the law is more difficult. I think the law is easier on people that commit crime in this country that are of the right socioeconomic classes. I think that that poor whites, the law is applied to them unfairly as well. But I think it's even more so with the poor black. And I think the percentages in this country, I may be wrong, I stand to be corrected. I think there are a lot of poor black people, and the jurisprudence system is very unfair to them. The juries are unfair to them, the district attorneys are unfair to them, the judges are unfair to them. A person that's well educated, white, lives in the right neighborhoods, he commits the same or she commits the same crime as the poor person from the other side of the tracks. They get hit on the hand, the other person does 15 to 20 years. So from that perspective, I don't like the death penalty. I mean, in fact, you can see the death has been applied more often to people that are poor and of color. The death penalty has been applied to them more often than anybody else. The statistics show it. From that perspective, I don't think it's right.
What is the death penalty like in Italy?
We don't have it.
What is the death penalty like in Spain?
There's no death penalty.
if they can prove that that was, you know, the person that killed my daughter, and, you know, it was over something stupid, then yes, the death penalty I feel would be okay. But then I wouldn't, because, I mean, that's the easy way out. So
If I was a victim of a violent crime, I would be for the death penalty.
So do you believe that people's like feelings could change towards it if they were actually the person affected by it?
Yes, I do.
I know that I would go through a lot of emotions, but in the end, no, I would not feel the same. I mean, I would feel the same where I don't believe in it, and I don't think that a person should get the death penalty for any crime whatsoever.
If a loved one was sentenced to the death penalty, would your answer change?
No.
No.
If a loved one was sentenced to the death penalty, would your answer change?
No.
Let's say your son was in that situation and he committed a violent crime. Would your feelings still be the same? Do you feel that?
Wow. If my son killed someone for no reason at all, and he was going to get the death penalty, then yeah.
It's like sayonara.
No. You committed a crime. You took someone's life for no reason. I mean, because the death penalty, it's not first-degree murder or anything. It's basically
On a serious violent.
And usually you've murdered someone, took someone's life for no reason at all.
If one of your kids went to jail and received a death penalty sentence, would you be okay with that?
Yes, because I raised my kids to know better, and if one of them went kaput and decided to commit a heinous crime such as murder, and again, this is something that was planned, like a Jeffrey Dahmer type or a serial killer type. If they went and killed somebody for no reason at all, then yes, they should be put to death, because that's not right for them to sit on death row again and be afforded 3 square meals a day, medical services, when they didn't give that person that they decided to kill. I don't like what I'm saying.
Not in our justice system.
So,
not in our justice system. Or our environment. And once you're in that environment, then you can't change.
do you believe in second chances? Do you believe a person on death row has
the person on death row had 3 strikes, so they had more than 2 chances.
Because there's people that have mental illnesses, and I think that sometimes if they're not on their medications, they might be hearing voices, and maybe they shouldn't be put to the death penalty, but maybe
or sent back into society,
or be sent into society. They should stay like in a mental health facility to be monitored. And I know at that point people get second chances when they prove that they on their medications and that they can do it. But I don't know, if they've already committed a heinous crime, I just think they need to be, they belong in a mental institution and not maybe in the prison system or put to death.
With the correct type of correctional, or what's the word that I'm looking for?
like a program, or
like a program, but it's got to be very extensive. You know what I mean? It's not something that you can just go through a program and think that just because you took the steps that you're actually cured,
right?
Or that you're remorseful, or whatever the situation may be. How do you know what's going on? Let me give you an example. Okay, so if a man would molest my daughter, what made him do those types of things? Like, that just doesn't come, that's like a chemical imbalance, or maybe something's happened to him in his life, so he needs that type of, help himself.
Right.
So you have to find out what the root reason of why this is going on, and that's why I don't believe in the death penalty.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
participating.
This was great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
This was a
welcome.
really good chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.